Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the books is in. The books are in. Yep. They in. They're here.
Log in to KofiPaisaTV.com and get Spears of the Mossy Volume 1 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, from Spears the Pen Volume 2 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, Spiritual Combat Volume 3 by Kofi Paisa Research Team, One Night Before Bed by Any Harret Sean Calfunny, Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland by Kofi Paisa, From Cocaine to Consciousness by Any Harret Sean Calfunny, As I Learned, We All Learn by Kofi Paisa. Also, if you want fresh merch, go to our online store, Family Connect Apparel, and get all the brands. Also, get our 54 deck of quiz and educational cards, available now on KofiPaisaTV.com.
ETM Hotel, Rennie Sean, welcome in peace. My name is Sean. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to this Evening Science with Sean. Peace to everybody in the chat, Omar, Benita, TKC, Keenan, people who haven't commented in the chat. Like the show, share the show, tell a friend, we live. I hope everybody having a nice evening. I'm not going to hold people up too long, but I do want to get into some information today. As promised, I know y'all could be doing anything, but y'all rocking with me tonight. So whoever's catching the replay, peace to you. Hopefully you learned something this evening from this show. And we're going to get into it here in just a moment. What up, Nunu? Let's see here what we got. Yeah, man, hit that like button, share the show. First time viewer, somebody referred you, hit the notification button, man. Subscribe, hit the notification button. I might not share the show at all, just go live, you feel me? So you want to make sure that you don't miss it. You might get interested. Without further ado, man, I'm gonna go ahead and get into the bill. Anyone that might join us late, you know what I mean, can catch the replay, and we'll kind of go from there. I know there's better things going on, you know. I guess, I don't know. I'm just assuming that there may be. Real quick, how many people in the chat are familiar with new killer cells? Put a 1 in the chat if you're familiar with new killer cells. Put a 2 in the chat if you're unfamiliar with new killer cells. I know there's a delay, so we'll ride that thing out. I think I'm gonna have to be like super pseudo so I can get subscribers. I don't think Robert Rand know what the hell he talking about. He put a 1 in there. He just don't want to look like he don't know. Don't know nothing about no new killer cells, man. You ain't said nothing about no new killers. See how you be Kevin? Man, come on, man. We all know what that means, Rob. Yeah, man. I see people coming in. Hit the like button, man. Like the show, share the show. Help us get the algorithms up. Help the viewers go up. Let's see if we can get some subscribers. Really don't have many for the information to be as serious as it is, man. We really don't have a lot of subscribers. But I do appreciate everybody that's in, so I don't expect to have 100 people in the chat, not even 60 or 70 people viewing. But if I go full pseudo, though, I know I can get them. All I gotta do is say the right thing at the right time. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Like I said, I don't want to hold nobody up. And I'm gonna do like a little 10-minute thing on the Mossy following this. So you might want to tune into that and catch that. But yeah, man, so I do appreciate everybody for tuning in. Like the show, share the show, tell a friend, tell a friend. Charles said I gotta talk about herbs and sea moss to get the pseudos to come out. That's a fact. Can we get a few more likes? Can we get a few more likes and 11 more subscribers? Maybe I should actually promote the channel like to non-conscious community people, or talk about religion. If you talk about religion, you get viewers because people gonna subscribe to you because they want to argue with you. You know what I mean, over their belief. But when it comes to something that's actually worth everybody's while, it's kind of hard. But all right, let's get going, man. Let me do this. No, I ain't playing no video or presenting the information. Like I said, this is pretty much a comprehensive review of new killer cells in COVID-19. Before we even understand what killer cells are, how killer cells are related to COVID-19, we need to understand what they are. So I do have in the description 8 sources for anyone that would like to pull that information out, extract that information, and get more in depth. There's also some biological books and things of that nature that you could refer to help out. Say what? I don't understand. If you don't like religious people, why fight with them? Mika, be quiet. You love that belief. You love thinking that you're a Hebrew. All right, so natural killer cells is a type of immune cell that has granules or small particles with enzymes that can kill a tumor cells or infect with a virus. A natural killer cell is a type of white blood cell, also called NK cell or NKLGL. So I'm gonna say that one more time for the people in the back. Natural killer cell is a type of immune cell that has small particles with enzymes that can kill tumor cells or cells infected with the virus. Now, a natural killer cell is a type of white blood cell, also called NK cell and NKLGL. Here's an image that's going to represent that information that was just read. Okay. I think everybody should be able to see that. Yep, it looks good on my cell phone. Hit that like button. Oh yeah, we got Brother Malcolm in the building. We're gonna get him on in just a minute. If he got time, we're gonna see if we can get him on the panel. The number one troll always has to defend people's belief. It's crazy. Like she can't never mind business. All right. So that's just a simple definition. This from the Cancer Institute. Yeah. See? So you want to kind of keep that to understand it. Now, we're going to figure out what relevance this actually has with COVID-19 as we go, but we want to just kind of keep things going up. So again, from the British Society of Immunology, I chose these particular sources. I'm, trying to get a way to show people that, people with CDC phobias and all of that stuff, like they won't be able to go against the source lineup. All right. So natural killer cells, a more in-depth study. Now remember, natural killer cells, okay, is a type of immune cell that has small particles with enzymes that can kill tumor cells or cells infected with a virus. Here's the key thing in here: can kill tumor cells or cells infected with a virus. COVID-19, if it infects a cell, the NK is supposed to kill it. You understand what I'm saying now? All right, everybody with me? Okay. Natural killer cells are lymphocytes in the same family as T and B cells, coming from a common progenitor. Now, however, as cells of the innate immune system, the NK cells are classified as a group I innate lymphocytes, hence ILCs, and respond quickly to a variety of pathological challenges. NK cells are best known for killing virally infected cells and detecting and controlling early signs of cancer, as well as protecting against disease. Specialized NK cells are also found in the placenta and may play an important role in pregnancy. All right. For the people that are unfamiliar with what lymphocytes are, let's give you a general definition of what a lymphocyte is. All right. So we're having a little fun in this class. So a lymphocyte is a form of a small leukocyte, white blood cell, just call it a white blood cell, with a single round nucleus occurring especially in a lymphatic system. There you go. Now, NK cells were first noticed for their ability to kill tumor cells without any priming or prior activation, in contrast to cytotoxic T cells, which need priming before antigen-presenting cells. They are named for this natural killing. Additionally, NK cells secret cytokines such as IFNY and TNFA, which act on the immune cells like macrophage and dendritic cells to enhance the immune system. Now, I know y'all don't know what macrophage is. You probably heard us say it a few times, macrophages and all of that stuff. All right. It's a large phagocytic cell found in stationary form in the tissues or as a mobile white blood cell, especially at sites of infection. Notice you keep hearing things about white blood cells or just blood cells in general. All right. Dendritic. Okay. Let me do it like this because I just did the word and that ain't going to help y'all. All right. Dendritic cells are antigen-presenting cells of the mammalian immune system. Their main function is to process antigen material and present it on the cell surface to the T cells of the immune system. They act as a messenger between the innate and adaptive immune system. Dendritic cells are present in those tissues that are in contact with the external environment, such as the skin and the inner lining of the nose, lung, stomach, and intestines. Excuse me. While on patrol, NK cells constantly contact other cells. This is what we talked about the other day with Malcolm, where he said that those bad cells are called up to, the NK and be like, hey, look, man, I ain't doing too well. And the NK cells just go ahead and say, appreciate you contacting me. Boom, knock them on out of here. Right? Remember, he said they try to simplify it for you. While on patrol, right? Like the police, they patrol in the neighborhood. Think about your immune system as your neighborhood. Or if you don't live in a neighborhood, you live in an apartment complex. If you don't live in an apartment complex and you live in one of those, you live in a cul-de-sac. If you don't live in a cul-de-sac, then what else could you live in? Homeowners Association, HOA, Homeowners Association. Wherever you at, wherever you living at, in that little community or neighborhood base that they got 3 or 4 streets or a block around you when you're in the middle of that joker. Your NK cells are within the confines of that radius of your neighborhood. They are patrolling your neighborhood like the police. Okay? They are in constant contact with everybody in the neighborhood. They know their neighbors. They're not like today police. They know their neighbors. They're the old police who used to walk around twirling a baton, talking to everybody. Them people, the ones, the police that communicated with our grandmothers and all that and knew everybody in the neighborhood. All right. Now, whether or not the NK cells kill these cells depends on a balance of signals from activating receptors and inhibitory receptors on the NK cell surface. This point is crucial in understanding, because earlier you heard me make mention of cancer, right? And it sounds like NK cells' jobs is to eliminate bad cells. So why would we need a vaccine, or why would we need other type of therapies or treatments to prevent infection or treat infection or disease, right? If the NK cells' job is to go around and eliminate these cells. Remember that. Now, whether or not the NK cells kill these cells depends on balance of signals from activating receptors and inhibitor receptors on the NK cell surface. Activating receptors recognize molecules that are expressed on the surface of cancer cells and infected cells and switch on the NK cell. Okay, so there's a glitch here. If the activating receptors and the inhibiting receptors don't recognize, or if they don't activate or express themselves on the surface of the infected cell or the cancer cell, then the NK cell isn't active, doesn't switch on. So now it's patrolling your neighborhood, but if a particular cell, right, the lights off at the neighborhood, the cop car just keep on driving by thinking ain't nothing wrong with the neighborhood, but you got some people breaking in the back of your home. But the cop can't see them because it looks like the house is quiet, undisturbed, there's no lights on, and ain't no noises being made. It's not giving off no signal. So the NK is not on. This is very important here, because it goes on to say, the inhibitory receptors act as a check on the NK cell killing. Most normal healthy cells express MHC I receptors, which mark these cells as self. We're getting into self and non-self. Inhibitor receptors on the surface of the NK cell recognizes cognate MHCI, and this switches off the NK cell. Your alarm just went off, but the burglars cut the communication to make it look like, or rewired it, or even knew the code and turned off the alarm. So now it ain't sending a signal to your alarm company to alert them, to let them know that your house being broken into. So the NK cells that's patrolling in the neighborhood ain't even getting a warning because the switch is off due to the MHCI. Now, that prevents it from killing. So now the patrol can't even help you because no noise is being made. They got in. The switch never comes on. If it did trip a little bit, it caught it. They disalarmed it. And now it's peace and quiet. They can do whatever they want to do at that point. However, cancer cells and infected cells often lose their MHCI, leaving them vulnerable to NK cell killing. Once the decision is made to kill, the NK cell releases a cytotoxic granules, again, small particles. So it's cytotoxic small particles containing perforin and granzymes, which leads to lysis of the target cell. Now, there's a couple of words that we need to understand. We need to understand what this is. Porphyrin. It's a protein released by killer cells in the immune system, which destroys targeted cells by creating lesions like pores in the membrane. Granzymes are serine proteases released by the cytoplasmic granules or small particles within the cytotoxic T cells and natural killer cells. They induce programmed cell death in the target cell, thus eliminating cells that have become cancerous or are infected with virus or bacteria. Granzymes also kill bacteria and inhibit viral replication. In NK cells and T cells, granzymes are packaged in a cytotoxic small particles along with perforin. All right, so these two work hand in hand, which leads to the lysis of the target cell. That is the disintegration of a cell by rupture of the cell wall or membrane. Remember, one makes those lesions or those marks in the cell membrane, and then this for we get the lysis of the target cell. Now, the genes of both the MHCI and the NK cell inhibitor receptor, which recognizes them, vary a lot between individuals. The versions or alleles, right? Let's look that up. That's one or two or more alternative forms of a gene that arise by mutation and are found at the same place as the chromosome. Okay, also called allelomorph. All right, of these genes a person carries have been linked to their ability to fight HIV infection and their risk of some autoimmune diseases. NK cell varieties also change with age and are affected by chronic viral infections such as cytomegalovirus. So now age plays a factor in if your killer cells work or not. I'm getting ahead of y'all, but I'm also letting you know that you need to pay attention to, right, age, because age plays a factor in the killing. Now, cytomegalovirus is this, a kind of herpes virus. Look at that. A kind of herpes virus, which usually produces very mild symptoms in an infected person, but may cause severe neurological damage in people with weakened immune systems and in newborns. Because of their ability to kill tumor cells, NK cells are an attractive target for cancer immune therapies. Some therapeutic monoclonal antibodies rely on NK cell killings. Remember that. Some therapeutic monoclonal antibodies rely on NK cell killings. Researchers are also developing treatments to activate NK cell using small particles or cytokines, and even testing, right? So there we go. Testing genetically modified living NK cells as therapies. So here we go. So that's that. That was a cool little walkthrough. Now, let's go forward. We're building here. So again, we just want to recap. What are NK cells? NK cells are a type of lymphocell which functions in the innate immune system to remove infected or cancerous self cells. The innate immune system is the first line of the defense against infection. It is non-specific and less effective than the acquired immune system. However, it can respond to an immunological threat much faster and hold off the threat until a specific response can be mounted. The immune system involves the physical barriers of the skin and other epithelial surfaces, mucus layers containing defenses, inflammation, and complement systems, and various cells, including phagocytes, dendritic cells, and mast cells, and natural killer cells. I know y'all want to know what this word means. All right, so this is relating to or denoting the thin tissue forming the outer layer of the body's surface and lining the alimentary canal and and other hollow structures. All right. We got an example of this right here, activation and lysis. Remember we looked at this word last? And we got the natural killer T cell here and the cell infected. You see how it loops around this particular cell and then it goes in and kill it. See, the body is doing self-correction. Self-correction is allowing some of us to survive. The role of the natural killer cells in the innate immune system, again, natural killer cells are initially developed within the primary lymphoid tissue of the bone marrow. Where? In the bone marrow. Where? In the bone marrow. This is why we're dealing with B and T cells. We talked about lymphocytes. We're talking about defending and protecting. We're talking about immunity, right? We're talking this ultimately. This bone marrow also is associated with what? We read a Nature article maybe a couple of weeks ago that talked about bone marrow and its correlation with how long immunity will last, or how long the antibodies, right? How long those antibodies will last from natural infection. And we realized that after 4 months, natural infection starts to disintegrate, where those antibodies begin to disintegrate, and they disintegrate at a high pace after the 4th month. Then when it gets to the 7th month, between the 6th and 7th month, the antibodies decrease slower. And by the 11th month, they decreased even more. And with exposure of decreased antibodies and exposure to new variants, you can become reinfected. All right. Now, mature NK cells possesses both stimulatory and inhibitory receptors which control the activity of the cell. For example, killer cell immunoglobulin, I said that wrong, like receptors occur in NKG2D, Over 20 activating receptors are known that function to recognize proteins which are not usually present on the surface of the cell. Now, inhibitory receptors mainly recognize self-MHCI proteins. This is because many type of virus have evolved immunological evasion strategies by downregulating the MHC class I, meaning that the immune system cannot detect their viral antigen. I'm not going to go to any more specifics, but I do want to go here. And let's see if I can get it up for you.
Every year, over 14 million people worldwide are newly diagnosed with cancer. That's why we created Cancer Breakthroughs 2020, a program with the ambitious goal of winning the war on cancer by the year 2020. To reach that goal, we're accelerating the development of combination immunotherapy as the next generation standard of care in cancer patients. We're also harnessing the full power of our body's own immune system by developing treatments which utilize natural killer cells, our body's first line of defense in the battle against cancer. Natural killer cells have the innate ability to rapidly seek out and destroy abnormal cells, such as cancer cells, by identifying markers of stress on the cancer cell and releasing toxic granules to destroy it. They're able to do this without prior exposure or activation by other parts of the immune system, which is why they're called natural killers. Natural killer cells are also able to bind to antibodies that have identified specific targets or antigens on a cancer cell and kill that cancer cell through a process called antibody-dependent cell-mediated cytotoxicity, or ADCC. The natural killer cell has two kinds of receptors: activating receptors, which put it to work, and inhibitory receptors, which are mainly used to prevent the natural killer cell from attacking healthy cells. But cancer is smart, and as it grows, it's able to outsmart our immune system by engaging the inhibitory receptors on natural killer cells, effectively putting them to sleep. Fortunately, we've discovered a unique variant of natural killer cells called NK92 that lacks inhibitory receptors, but has a broad array of activating receptors and can be deployed off the shelf. We call it an activated natural killer cell, or ANK. An ANK is always switched on and is able to rapidly target and kill cancer cells. To further improve the targeting and killing power of this activated natural killer cell, we've genetically engineered these ANK cells in several important ways. This unique platform is designed to offer multiple approaches to the targeted killing of cancer cells. First, we've created what we call high-affinity natural killer cells, or HANK, by genetically engineering a natural killer cell with a high-affinity CD16 receptor. The CD16 receptor allows natural killer cells to work with antibodies. The high-affinity natural killer cell works in combination with an antibody drug or the patient's own antibodies to target the antigen that is overexpressed by the cancer cell and greatly increases the ADCC killing effects of antibodies. Antibody therapies have become one of the most effective cancer therapies available today, and we can further enhance that effectiveness with our high-affinity natural killer cells. We've also created what we call target-activated natural killer cells, or TANK, by genetically engineering a natural killer cell with a chimeric antigen receptor, or CAR. CARs include an antibody fragment that allow the natural killer cell to target and destroy cancer cells that display specific surface antigens. Tanks can be created using a variety of unique CARs, making them very effective and targeted cancer-killing machines. With this unique platform, we now have an off-the-shelf, ready-to-use natural killer cell therapy to treat cancer. It serves as a universal cell-based therapy that doesn't require individualized patient matching. This off-the-shelf approach is also very cost-effective. It can be manufactured at scale and administered in an outpatient setting. This next-generation natural killer cell therapy is another exciting development as part of our ambitious goal to win the war on cancer by the year 2020.
right, so that was a nice little workout right there. So I'm not going to deal with the overall, just going to regurgitate some stuff that we already walked through. So I want to move forward with, now that we have a better understanding of what natural killer cells are and how they behave. This should give us some more insight moving forward in our conversation. So, functions of natural killer cells, published 2008 in the Journal of Nature. I really don't want to hit too much on this. This is just going to regurgitate what we had. And as you can see here, it is pretty much so. So I don't want to, kind of beat a dead horse. But it is there for people who want to, have it as a secondary source to back up everything else that we've actually discussed. There was a study here that was done, and I'm not going to give you the gist of the study, but I am going to give you some specifics here because I want you to know why I brought this out. So we are now introducing the natural killer cell dysfunction and its role in COVID-19. This was published in September of 2020. The abstract states that when facing an acute viral infection, our immune systems need to function with finite precision to enable the elimination of the pathogen, whilst protecting our bodies from immune-related damage. In many instances, however, this perfect balance, remember they talked about this perfect balance in the previous article, is not achieved. Factors such as aging, cancer, autoimmunity, and cardiovascular disease all skew the immune system, which is then further distorted by viral infection. That's why I told you to remember about the aging of a person. Now, in SARS-CoV-2, although the vast majority of COVID-19 cases are mild, as of August 24th, over 800,000 people have died, many from severe inflammatory cytokine release resulting in extreme clinical manifestations such as acute respiratory disease syndrome, ARDS, and hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis, HLH. Severe complications are more commonly in elderly patients and patients with cardiovascular disease. Today, that elderly patient thing is diminished and it's impacting more youth than previously. Now, the natural killer cells play a critical role in modulating the immune response, and in both of these patients, NK cell effector functions are blunted. Preliminary studies in COVID-19 patients with severe disease suggest a reduction in NK cell number and function, resulting in decreased clearance of infected and activated cells. This is basically saying, ladies and gentlemen, that when the NK cells are non-cipher, severe COVID is in full effect. But when NK cells are working to defeat those infected cells, then you will have mild symptoms. So, moral of the story, the difference between you having a severe case and a mild case is your immune system's ability, or I'm gonna say it like that, your immune system's ability to have sufficient help from the NK cells. All right, so let me continue. And uncheck the elevation of tissue damage and inflammation markers. SARS-CoV-2 infection skews the immune response towards an overwhelmingly inflammatory phenotype. Restoration of NK cell effector functions has the potential to correct the delicate immune balance required to effectively overcome SARS-CoV-2 infection. So it talks about the natural killer cell role in the immune regulation. And then they go through and they talk about the age and sex related immunoessence. It's a long word. And then they get in and they get to talking about, remember I said age. Now, atherosclerosis and cardiovascular disease and the role that certain things play. I'm not going to continue to go through the emphasis. I wanted to deal with point number 5, which is the conclusion. Now it says here, related to SARS-CoV-2, that natural killer cells play a central role in maintaining immune homeostasis, a critical requirement when facing the challenges of novel pathogen. For everybody that's not familiar with the word homeostasis, I am going to define it for you. All right, homeostasis, the tendency toward a relatively stable equilibrium between independent elements, especially as maintained by a philological process. There you go. Maintain stability. Now, a critical requirement when facing the challenge of novel pathogen, SARS-CoV-2 infection has been shown to impede, okay? SARS-CoV-2 infection has been shown to impede NK cell function, thus disrupting this vital balance. Okay, they have figured out SARS-CoV-2 has turned your switch off, broke into your home, turned the switch off. You have no regulatory defense mechanisms at that point. Severe COVID-19 takes over, potentially leading to your death. If it doesn't lead to your death, then it's going to ravage your body and you end up with lung problems, heart problems, kidney problems, brain problems, liver problems, skin problems, loss of taste and smell, loss of memory, gastrointestinal problems. All of these things can happen when the NK cells are not able to fight. Now, to impede the NK cell function, thus disrupting the vital balance, with factors such as aging and other comorbidities, leading further skewing. The current trials investigating drugs and biologicals which improve NK cell function may improve to be monumental in our fight against COVID-19. So, moral of the story, they're working on a therapeutic that will induce the NK cells' ability to aid in fighting, right? Because they know they have autoimmune deficient people out there who can't just get the vaccine. They can't. When they get the vaccine, they have no reaction from the vaccine, but they need protection. So in order to protect these people, if they are ever infected, they need this treatment to work so that it can induce the NK cells' ability to be able to help fight and prevent severe infection. They're trying to minimize the damage for people that don't understand really what I'm saying. This is about minimizing the damage and then being able to control and monitor it back up. All right, let's move on. So people with absence of natural killer cell receptors are likely to develop severe COVID-19. Okay, so in this article, this backs up the argument of the immune response, the switching on and off, the hiding out. When I talked about somebody trying to kidnap, I'm just backing it up at this point. Right? So we're not making it up. We're following the science. So I don't want to kind of read the beginning part of it. I want to go to this quote right here. It says, absence of the receptor was particularly prevalent in COVID-19 patients being treated in intensive care unit, irrespective of age or gender. Genetic variations on the HLA-E of the infected cell were also associated with disease severity, albeit to a lesser extent. The current study therefore shows the major importance of NK cell response in the battle against SARS-CoV-2 infection. This part of the immune response could therefore also represent an important target for drugs that could help to prevent severe COVID disease. You see what I'm saying? So yet and still, if you didn't get the vaccine, they are looking for a way to help treat you. Mind you, you still are susceptible to reinfection. I had to say that. Because if you think that you're going to continue to have these NK cells to help you in your fight against SARS-CoV-2, and if this thing is mutating and switching and the receptors aren't binding and it's evading your immune system, similar to the Delta variant can invade certain parts of your immune system, you are susceptible of not having your NK cells work with you to defeat the infection and the spread of disease. Let's go on. So here we have an open access journal published in January from natural killer cells associated with SARS-CoV-2 viral RNA shedding antibody response and mortality in COVID-19 patients. You know, I don't want to get too much into the abstract. This is just basically for supportive evidence to support everything else that we had going on here. Of course, I had to give you some type of study, and this is one of those studies. So I don't want to bore you with a lot of reading and explaining what's actually going on, because we've already did a lot of understanding earlier on. So now when we see a study that is provided to us, then we immediately know within the abstract what's going on with all these weird numbers and these IgGs and the IgMs. We can leave that to Brother Malcolm and put that on him to deal with that. We understand now what natural killer cells are and their ability and how they function and what their job is to do it, and how certain things evade the natural killer cells and cause severe reactions in people. So we should be cool with understanding that that was the meat and potatoes of this particular conversation. All right. So again, last article here is how killer T cells could boost COVID immunity in face of a new variant. And, if the variant is evading your immune system, then it ain't gonna help. But NK cells' jobs is to kill the cells. NK is supposed to kill cells. The older you get, the less recognizable your NK cells are to help and fight against certain things. And then it makes you susceptible of severe disease, potential death. Or if you have some type of pre-existing condition that wouldn't influence or your NK cells to help fight, then they'll go from there. For instance, so if you're like a cancer patient, right? Your NK, your body right now is in a fight. Your immune system is in a fight with cancer. And, when you're getting treatment and things of that nature, the treatment is supposed to also help in the fight. But with certain technology, if we can get to the advancements of what can stop cancer, because there's a lot of cancers that they've been able to control. But to stop these other cancers that are ravaging Black people specifically, then we could see less death, less threat of death, and less potential hospitalization. But science has to work. Science has to figure it out. So I don't want to read no more. So that's why I want to dive into those other articles. I think, I try to do the best job that I can in explaining what natural killer cells were. Not natural, new killer cells were. Its relativeness with COVID-19. Without going directly to COVID-19, I wanted to walk y'all through to show y'all how the new killer cells are already, being a vocal point in science with cancer, and now how it's a vocal point in SARS-CoV-2, COVID-19, and and how they're using what they're learning, what they have learned in studying new killer cells with cancer, and trying to use some of that information and understanding with COVID-19. And now we know what new killer cells jobs are. So what the heck influenced this conversation? Well, I got a text message from Brother Chill. Brother Chill hit me up and was like, hey man, I need you. And I was like, okay, what's up? Brother Chill was like, I'm having a conversation with someone, and we talking about, the vaccine, and, my partner hit me up and was like, let me see if I can explain it to you. Start talking about, there's two different types of immune systems, right? You got adaptive and innate. It's really three. And he was like, he really don't need the vaccine because, the adaptive response only kicks in when the innate response is insufficient to fight off the pathogen. However, the innate response generates natural killer cells. And the natural killer cells do not display antigen-specific receptors. They simply distinguish between virus-infected cells and uninfected cells. And then he hit them with the NK cells destroy virus-infected cells by inducing the cell to kill itself, which means that the body is able to destroy viruses that it has never come in contact with before without the need of a virus-specific vaccination. So his whole notion or understanding of he called them natural killer cells, but it's new killer cells. His whole notion of that was to say, I don't need a vaccine because my new killer cells, and he used the word natural, but my new killer cells is going to get rid of the bad cells. And what he doesn't know is that in COVID-19, it turns a switch off, which could cause severe COVID-19 and will lead to potential death, if not all the other things that I've mentioned, how severe COVID damaged the body. And it ain't even just got to be severe. You can be asymptomatic. You can your new killer cells could be helping your immune system fight off a problem, the threat. However, you can still have an asymptomatic response. You can have a mild reaction through this whole process, and your lungs could be going to shit. So the whole time he's under the impression that new killer cells is the reason why he doesn't need a vaccine. He never really fully understood that the virus has a way of evading the new killer cells. He simply is off his rocker. Shout out to Brother Chill. I sent him a bunch of information. I know it was a information overload, and however, I was able to get him what he needed, basically. And I told him that the person he was communicating with pretty much didn't fully understand what the new killer cells were or how they actually work, because there's going to be a gap. There's going to be a gap, right? So what if this dude who thinks his new killer cells is going to help protect him from having severe COVID? He's still infected. Even if he has an asymptomatic response, it's still going to run its course. He's still going to have to quarantine. He still could have some inner issues going on in his body that he's unaware of until later on down the road. You're playing with death. You're flirting with death. So while I'm even bringing up Brother Chill, right? I'm bringing up Brother Chill. Y'all already know I have to support his video. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna come right back with some changing topic stuff. Well, you know, the Guardians of Cleveland, they got to get their commercial stuff up.
Classic hard.
Yo, talk to me, Cleveland. Have you not had your shot yet? Really? Are you serious? I know you're worried. You're thinking it's going to be like another Tuskegee? I get it. They've been doing black people dirty for years. So why wouldn't we be concerned this time? Here's the situation, people. At Tuskegee, they did not give us the disease, but what they didn't do was give us the cure. But by not taking this vaccine, we're Tuskegeeing ourselves. The truth is, if we don't protect ourselves, nobody will. We're at over 150 million people vaccinated. And if your doctor and your mother haven't turned into zombies by now, then you won't either. The truth, man, he got his grip my head. Okay, that's it. That was no. He was like,
It's time to balance you so you can hold your head.
Jeff, I can balance my own head.
So get the damn vaccine. Exactly. Quit playing Russian roulette. And for the record, I put up a Facebook post today. I figured a lot of people wouldn't even pay attention to it. And at all. It talks about breakthrough infections. It's on my Facebook timeline, but okay. Breakthrough infections occur because unvaccinated people are viable hosts, which allow the virus to mutate and adapt and create different variants, which would help them evade the immune system's protection against the virus. Think about that. And I'm going to leave y'all with that. Go catch Dr. Maad. I think she went live. Shimon Hotel.
Log in to KofiPaisaTV.com and get Spears of the Mossy Volume 1 by Kofi Paisai Research Team, from Spears the Pen Volume 2 by Kofi Paisai Research Team, Spiritual Combat Volume 3 by Kofi Paisai Research Team, One Night Before Bed by Any Harek Shun Calfunny, Kalawa's Trip to the Motherland by Kofi Paisai, From Cocaine to Consciousness by Any Harek Shun Calfunny, As I Learned, We All Learn by Kofi Paisai. Also, if you want fresh merch, go to our online store, Family Connect Apparel, and get all the brands. Also, get our 54 deck of quiz and educational cards available now on KofiPaisaitv.com.